So I've been on the hunt for a while to see where the Duluth, Red Wing, and Southern Depot was in Red Wing. I know where it was in Zumbrota. I don't know where it was in Rice, but I know there was one. And I know there was one in Goodhue because we've been there. Yeah, the Goodhue Depot. It's a coffee shop and restaurants. And if you haven't been there, better go. It's a great place. They got a lot of railroad history about that depot there. Anyway, see that building behind me? That's Caribou Coffee now in Red Wing. And I'm going to start here. And I'm going to work my way back so we can see where that depot was and what we can find about it. So we are going to walk down that way. Yeah. I'm going to, on my walk, I'm going to put up a map, the first map, and you'll see it. It shows that depot I just showed you on the map. It goes back to, I think it was 1910 on that map. And you'll see that depot, and you will actually see a freight depot down the road from that. And I wrote on it so you can't miss it. And that's where we're heading, is to where that freight depot was. That used to be, well, if you talk to people today, they'd probably tell you it was an old furniture warehouse, but it goes back a lot further than that. That was actually a beer warehouse. And I have a video of that too, that I'll put in the annotations of this video also, because it was in a lot better shape the last time I was over here and made the video of that place. Well, I'll put up that map while I get to where we're going. Okay, so we were coming from that direction. And this is Franklin Street right here. And this was the depot. Got the sun here on the lens. It's pretty bright. There we go. That was the depot at one time. Sat right about here. Probably about where this car is parked. I'll swing around again. See the depot? That's the Caribou Coffee right there. This kind of this strip of trees here is where the tracks would have been. And once again, this is Franklin Street. You probably saw that on the map I put up. And then the depot was right here. Right here. But you know what? The photo I have of this depot I'm going to put up here and show you does say the Chicago Great Western on the sign. But you know what? I think it goes back a lot further, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to put up a couple more maps. We're going to start there. I'm going to put up a 1902 map. I'm going to put up an 1891 and 1884 Sanborn Insurance map. And you're going to see now on this map that the freight house you saw on the first map from 1910 is actually the depot for the Minneapolis and St. Louis Railroad. Yeah, so now we've thrown a glitch into this, haven't we? Yep. So I'll put up those maps so you can see that that's actually in the same place. I'll put those up now. So that brings us back to 1884 with the oldest map I showed you. So let's go back further. I want you to remember I made a video of the railroads coming from Northfield through Cannon Falls to Red Wing. I don't know, if you don't remember that video, I'll put that one up in the annotations of this video too. So that's 3 videos I'll put up if you want to see them. So on September 24th, 1882, the Minnesota Central were having their railroad war. Where? In Red Wing. Yeah, that's the one. Remember the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul, and the Minnesota Central were actually having a race from Northfield to Red Wing, trying to beat each other here. And when the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul got here, there was a day there where the Minnesota Central guys weren't working, and the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul crew started taking up their railroad bed. And when the Central guys did get here, they were putting the dirt in, and it was a back and forth struggle. But that's in that video, and I'll put that up if you want to see the story. And another thing about the Minnesota Central was that was the railroad that was known as the Cannon Valley Line. That's the line today that the Cannon Valley Trail's on. That's the line we're talking about. And in 1883, the Minnesota Central was bought by the Minneapolis and St. Louis. So at that point, who built the depot in town? Where was the Minnesota Central's depot? There's no record of that either, but they could have built one. In fact, the depot we're talking about could have been built by the Minnesota Central, and then when the Minneapolis and St. Louis bought it, they maybe put up their sign. Hard to say. I can't find anything in the newspaper, but I think if we go back, one of those 2 companies built this depot. It was either the Minnesota Central or it was the Minneapolis and St. Louis. But how does that play into the Duluth, Red Wing, and Southern? Yeah, where was their depot? It's not on any maps. Yet we know they had to have a depot. They did a passenger business as well as they did freight. Well, I found the key to this solution on where that was at. And it's in a city directory. That's right. So I'm going to put that city directory up right now. And it tells you the location. Off Main on Franklin. Well, Main Street is just over this way. And right here out in front of me is Franklin. So I'll put that up right now for you to see. Okay, so I think that the Minnesota Central or the Minneapolis and St. Louis built this depot. That's what I think. It was one of those 2 that built this. And the Duluth, Red Wing, and Southern must have made a deal with them to use this depot, to share it with them, and maybe share some tracks to it, because they made that same type of deal in Zumbrota with the Chicago and Northwestern. That was their depot that they used, and they made a deal with them that they could go all the way to Rochester on that line. In fact, at one time, the Duluth, Red Wing, and Southern could go all the way to the Twin Cities. They could go from the Twin Cities all the way to Rochester, but they made deals with other railroad companies in order to do that. So that's cool history. I have found where the Duluth, Red Wing, and Southern depot is. It's a shared one that they were using, and that's the depot that's in this photo, and I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay, this is where the depot was. I'm going to put this picture up. This is compliments of the Goodhue County Historical Society for the photo credit. And I think this building that's here, I think the depot was probably about another 20 feet towards me. But this is probably where this picture was taken of that depot, right here. So in 1901 is when Chicago Northwestern closed out the deal with all these other railroad companies. All these railroad companies fell in with the Chicago Great Western as one company. So I think it was 1901 that they put their sign on that depot. Yep.